I'm Teisha Bader. Thank you for joining me. There is a new film on the big screen exploring Jewish family dynamics and interfaith relationships with honesty, subtlety, beauty, and big-time humor. I'm talking about Bad Shabbos, a wonderful ensemble piece starring Kira Sedgwick and David Paymer that won the Audience Award at the 2024 Tribeca Film Festival. Take a look.
Your parents are good on Shabbos?
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't want them to freak out.
They're not gonna freak out.
Hi, Gary.
You guys ready for tonight?
How do you know about that?
Your dad was here earlier.
Okay.
Watch out, the hottest couple on the Upper West Side coming through.
Ready for tonight? You talked to my dad?
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit. Y'all nervous?
No.
Very.
Well,
What?
Meg's parents are coming tonight.
I'm sorry.
They're not used to families arguing.
What are they, Mormon?
That would kill me.
What do you mean? They're just firmly Catholic, and I kind of want them to be on board with the whole conversion thing, and they're just a little...
Yeah, that's sweet. That's really sweet. David, can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure, bud.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Is he dead? Is he dead?
It's such a good question.
We should have eloped.
Yeah, I agree.
Jordan, why are you here?
He's gonna help us.
that's right. We're across the Red Sea, and there's no turning back now.
So this rabbi and his student are walking in the old country.
Adam, stop!
They decide to pitch their tent for the night. The rabbi says, "Look up, what do you see?" And he looks up and says, "Ouch!"
It's Shabbos, baby.
And we are fortunate to have the director of the film, Daniel Robbins, here in our New York studio. Daniel, thank you.
Great to be here, Teisha.
Oh my
Thanks for having
goodness.
me.
So glad to have you. I was lucky enough to see the film at the JCC of Midwestchester in Scarsdale, New York. It was a wonderful showing and screening. I loved it, and I spoke to you there, and I'm so glad that you were able to come on in and we can share this great movie with our JBS viewers.
Yeah, same. That was so nice that you said hi. I never thought this would actually happen, but here we are.
Here we are.
So, we love it.
You're from Scarsdale, Westchester?
Yes, grew up in Scarsdale. The
Okay.
JCC you saw the movie at was actually my hometown JCC.
Nice.
So I walked from my parents' house all the way to the JCC that screening, which
Amazing.
is rare.
When I was a kid, it was the YMYWHA, just saying.
Oh, okay.
It used to be.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
But that's okay. Now, you went to Westchester Day School?
Yes, I went to Westchester Day
Ramaz.
School growing up until 8th grade, and then Ramaz on the
Ramaz.
Upper East Side for high school.
Nice. So I went to Solomon Schechter of White Plains, so we're actually mortal enemies, just putting it out there.
But they didn't compete in the same sports leagues,
No,
so I think they
it's
were
just,
safe.
you know.
Right,
I'm
it's like
kidding.
the two yeshivas you choose between.
Yeah.
That
But
makes
that's
sense.
okay. You're welcome here anyway. So we saw in the trailer, the film revolves around a Shabbat dinner.
Yeah.
Where the son of this family, David, is going to meet the parents of his fiancee, Meg, for the first time. His parents are going to meet her parents.
Right, over Shabbat dinner.
Over Shabbat dinner. She's not Jewish. Something bad happens. We're not going to give it away too much. You kind of see it in the trailer, but not. So we don't want to give anything away. It gets pretty zany. How did this idea come to you?
The idea actually didn't come from me. It came from Adam, the producer, and Zach, our co-writer.
Okay.
Where Zach and his family have these very lively Shabbat dinners on the Upper West Side. And sometimes to keep things light, his mom might prank someone just to keep things light. You know, there are a lot of guests over. She likes to keep things interesting. And then Adam, the producer, heard about this, and he said, what would happen if one of those pranks ended up with someone dying? And then Zach said, that could be a pretty funny movie. And then they called me, and I said, that could be a pretty funny movie. Then sometimes you have the idea, and it just, you know, dies once you try to figure out the story. But in this one, everything just kept making it better. Like, okay, Jewish boy, non-Jewish girl who's converting. What if it's the night that their parents meet for the first time over the Shabbat dinner? And you know a movie's probably worth making if it's something that if someone describes it to you, you would watch it that night. And when someone says a dead body to Shabbos dinner, I'm just like, I'm fully there.
Yes, I have to do it, and it's a comedy, obviously.
Yeah, and you have to make that a comedy.
And it is. And that's hard to do. That's tricky to take something so dark and yet it's dark comedy, but you make it funny and authentic at the same time. And this is something I commented at the screening, and I have to repeat it because it bears repeating. I so deeply appreciate these Jewish characters you created on screen. Again, even though they're going through this really insane circumstance and things are over the top, they never seem to be unbelievable. They never seem to be over the top. The characters are real and authentic, dealing with crazy situations, yes, and they're hilarious. And there are also some really beautiful, moving moments in the film. And that's really difficult to do all of that, to keep us engaged and believing that this could really happen. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank
on
you,
all of
that's
that.
so
Yeah.
nice.
Absolutely. The interfaith thing is really interesting because I feel like you found a way to talk about it in a way that was very sensitive and made me think about it in a very different way. Kira Sedgwick, who's the mother of David, has this lovely sort of speech she gives to Meg about what it feels like to her.
Yes.
And it's actually really beautiful and makes sense. And then you also have the non-Jewish characters, which aside from Meg and her parents are also the doorman, played by the amazing Method Man.
He's amazing.
Who's amazing.
And a real mensch.
Oh my goodness, like the roles that they play and their connection to Judaism are beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really true. So, okay, how did you get this incredible cast? Because the cast, I was going to try and name them all because they're all awesome. So let's just do it. So we have Kira Sedgwick, David Paymer, Cliff Method Man Smith, John Bass, Milana Weintraub. Is that
Yeah,
what she
Milana
says?
Weintraub,
Milana. Megan Leathers, Theo Taplitz, Ashley Zuckerman, Catherine Curtin, and John Bedford Lloyd. Each and every one of them are fantastic.
I fully agree with
Yeah.
you. I think we could have casted for another 2 years and we wouldn't improve any of the roles. Like the actors knocked it out of the park.
So good. So let's start with, let's just talk about Kira, because she's like probably the most famous person in the film. How did you get her? How did that happen?
Well, we didn't think she would do it because, my previous films didn't really have people of that level. But we spent a lot of time on the script and got it to a point where it was a really good document. And Adam, the producer, believed in it, so he hired casting directors Seth White, Cody Beek, Daniel Frankel, who took it out and sent it to these agents. And then the agents actually read it and thought it was good, and then shared it with Kira. And she's been in the business for so long, she knows when material is good or could turn into a good movie. So even though we might not be as established as the people she normally works with, she had faith that it could be a great movie and trusted us. And I'll always be grateful because I think if she didn't do this movie, it probably wouldn't have gotten off the ground.
Yeah, and other people agreeing to be in it as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
coming
John
on board.
Bass was the first person who agreed to be in it.
Is he David?
He's David, the lead
So
character.
good.
He's amazing, and I also don't know who else could have done that role. And he also read it and just thought it was great and was down to make this. So we're really grateful.
Yeah. So, okay, after Ramaz, you went to NYU Film
to
School?
NYU Gallatin, which just had a very controversial graduation speech. I'm sure you guys covered it.
That's another conversation to have. But tell us just a little bit about, for people who are watching that are interested in film, and just a sort of concise version of, okay, how do you go from graduating NYU, and then you made your first movie when, and what was it?
Yeah. Well, my career started in high school, making videos with some of my best friends, like Mikey Gelfand, Daniel Goldschmidt, Poppy Merkin. We'd make these videos, and Mark Rappaport, Zach Wiener, who came in a little later. We would make these videos together for school events, and then I just enjoyed it so much that we kept going. So we made videos through college, and it was all these comedy sketches. And then it reached the point where we wanted to make a movie. So I sat down and I said, okay, let's make a comedy movie, because that's what I feel like is in my bones. But then a producer told me I would lose everyone's money, and I shouldn't do that. So he advised that I make a horror film.
Okay.
So me and my friends, Mark, Mikey, Zach, we just sat down and made a horror film, and it was okay. It made its way to Netflix. It sounds impressive. This was back when Netflix was taking most things.
It's still impressive.
Still
You're allowed
impressive.
to say made it to Netflix. You don't have to.
And then after that, we made another horror movie called Pledge, and these were very low budgets. And Pledge made it to Hulu, and then we got representation. And then after that, I was attached to some bigger horror movies, but it felt like we wanted to make comedy, and we were waiting for our chance. And then once COVID canceled all that, we kind of just reset and said, okay, let's finally just make a comedy on a small scale of a movie that we really want to see and that we would love, and hopefully people connect to it. And it sounds simple, but most people said no, because comedies generally don't work as well, and there are less now, but I feel like whenever there's less of a movie, that means there's an opportunity to make a great one. So we just kept pushing, and Adam, the producer, did an unbelievable job to get this movie over the line. So
Wow.
yeah.
And it is a process. I mean, you know, we hear from people how they get things made, and you don't see the hours and the days and the months and the years that go into any of these projects,
Yeah.
and the hard work. So let's just talk about let's talk about Tribeca. Audience Award, that's like isn't that what you want? Isn't that like the best
you could
indication?
debate what's better, the Audience Award, which is the audience decides, or the Jury Award, which is a small jury.
Kind of like Eurovision.
prestigious. Yeah, kind of like Eurovision. I feel like the Audience Award is better because, you know,
I agree.
cinema is an art
Yeah.
for the general public. And it was really nice to win because we made the film before October 7th. And then once October 7th hit, we thought, okay, well, nobody wants a Jewish comedy because it seems like the people who aren't Jewish, you know, feel uncomfortable with it, and Jews aren't looking to laugh because this huge tragedy just happened. We're like, well, the movie's over, I guess it won't work. Then we got into Tribeca and we premiered there, and the response was like unbelievable. Like, so many people came out. Like, Jewish people were supporting Jewish art more so than they ever have before. And so many people just needed to see an authentic representation of Judaism that was loving and
Yes.
funny, and wasn't political, and just reminded people, like our Jewish and non-Jewish audience, just felt so relieved and warmed by the movie. And that our first screening sold out, and you're supposed to get 3, then the second one sold out, and the third, so they added an encore, then that sold out, then we won the Audience Award, and then that one did. So it was
Wow.
like this crazy week. And then once that happened, we got picked up by Menemsha Films and Neil Friedman, and he committed to putting it in theaters, which is also rare. And we've had an amazing festival run, and now we'll see how the theaters go.
It's amazing. So I just want to say we're taping this interview on May the 22nd.
Yes.
Tonight at AMC in New York?
Tonight at the Quad.
The Quad, okay. And then opening at several theaters in New York, and then LA.
Yeah, LA at the Lemley, and
Okay.
then I think it's opening in most states. So if you just
Amazing.
Google Bad Shabbos showtimes, it might come up.
Okay.
If not, send JBS an email, and they'll.
We'll answer it. We'll be
answer
on
it.
top of it. That's amazing. That's so exciting. Speaking of the climate that we're in right now as Jews, and everything that has happened in Israel and beyond, have you had any issues at screenings? Have you had screenings canceled, or any anti-Semitism, anything that's been said that...
We've had a couple rogue Free Palestines, but it's...
At a screening? Like,
Yeah, like at a screening, like someone said it. But like I think the same way with real life, it's such a small minority that this movie's been seen by over 14,000 people. We might have had like 2 of those. So percentage-wise, it's not really that big a deal. It's just a small, loud
Yeah.
minority. But the overwhelming response has just been like positive to it, which has been nice.
that's so important. And I feel like you were saying maybe people weren't ready to laugh, but I feel like, you know, as Jews, this is the dichotomy that we live with all the time. We mourn at the same time. We have to kind of hold both things, the joy and the pain.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot, obviously since October the 7th, but it's important to have a forum where we can sit and feel proud of our identity, even laugh, and find the humor and find the beauty. That's, you know, it plays a really special role.
You're right. There is a pasuk in the Torah that says there's a responsibility to rejoice too. So that is also a mitzvah. People forget that there are times you're supposed to rejoice. It's not just you know, negativity. And Jews especially have a rare ability to find light in the darkest of times. I'm not saying like this movie's the grand light of this dark time, but I think it is just a way for, you know, people to get together and connect to it. And I think it's also especially been really meaningful seeing non-Jewish audiences watch it, where after we got the award at Tribeca, of course the people say, well, I mean, that's New York, the movie's gonna work in New York. Then we got into a festival called the Cordillera International Film Festival, which is in Reno, Nevada.
Not too many Jews, probably.
No, very few. So Zach and I said, okay, we got to go out and see how this plays. So we took 2 flights there. And the movie screened. It was like 250 people in the theater. Maybe 4 of them were Jewish. And the reaction was just as crazy. And afterwards, people were asking us about Shabbos. Like, do you really shut your phones off? Like, oh, it's every week. I would love to do that with my family.
Wow.
And I think they also connect to the movie because I feel like the way you change people's minds isn't by lecturing them, of being like, oh, this is true, this isn't true, oh, you made a mistake here. But if you just hang out with characters for 90 minutes and understand them and kind of like them, then by the end of it, you just feel closer to this culture. Like, that's how I felt watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and that's one of my family's favorite movies.
Same.
So we're trying to do that with the Jewish family now.
Yeah.
And the reaction has been so heartwarming that it's been nice.
Yeah, I think that's so right. Like when people say, just come over for Shabbat dinner, if you want to learn a little bit about what Jewish people are like. And obviously, there's not one Shabbat dinner or one Jewish family that is going to represent the entire Jewish people.
Right.
But especially in this film, you get so much. And it doesn't matter if, like, oh, my family's less religious than this family or more religious. The essence of it is so real and tangible. And again, there are things in the Talmud, and the characters who deliver this information is surprising sometimes, but it's really just, it encompasses so much.
For the Talmud, shout out Joey Heller if you're watching. He's a friend of mine who I ran into at synagogue, and he read the script, and he said it's really funny, but if you deal with a dead body on Shabbos, there's actually this rule. You can't move it unless it has an infant or a loaf of bread. I was like, really? Are you sure? He's like, yeah, check out Masechet this. So I opened the art scroll and it was right there. I said, this is hilarious, we got to include it. And it became this through line in the movie, maybe like 3 weeks before shooting.
Wow.
So you never know where the great ideas will come from.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, you just came back like a day ago from Berlin. You were there promoting the film. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, showing a Jewish movie in Berlin was quite the experience. It was my first time there. And you walk around and you hear people talking this accent where that's how every movie villain has spoken growing up. But then the people there are so kind and loving and warm and protective of Jewish culture. And it was also the 80th anniversary of the surrender, I think like May 8th. Mm-hmm. So they had all these historical events there and by Brandenburg Gate. And the screening itself was, I usually don't watch the movie at this point because I've seen it enough, but I wanted to see if it would work for an audience all the way in Germany, and they kept laughing the whole time, and it was just like watching it in America, which was amazing. And then after, this older Jewish man came up to me, and he said, you know why we all laugh? He's like, no matter where we are in the world, we all come from the same place, which was really nice. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, the non-Jews are laughing too. He's like, yeah, I know. But
sounds better to say it this.
Yeah, but it was just great to see it work in Berlin.
That's so special.
Yeah.
How do your parents feel? Are they just like so proud of you?
I think they're mainly glad that they spent all this money on yeshiva education and I got all the Jewish details right.
See?
So there's some return on investment
That's
there.
right.
Because I think they're mainly proud about that.
I think they're proud of you.
We'll see.
It is nice to see a return on the investment.
Yeah, also
it's not
they're
cheap.
probably watching this because JBS is always on in their house. So I think they're
nice.
most proud
Hi,
that
Mom and Dad.
I did something that ended up in your studio. So
that's so nice. Well, we appreciate that. We really, really do. What was the most fun thing, let's say, for you during filming? I know you were in an apartment on the Upper West Side, which I also want to talk about. I feel like the Upper West Side is such a star of this movie that, Barney
yeah, that's it.
Barney Greengrass. Okay, but his son is in the movie.
Yes, Gary Greengrass,
Gary is
the
in the
third
movie.
generation Greengrass.
Oh my gosh, he's great.
Yes, and he did us because our budget isn't so big, but Gary helped us out and let us film there, partially because he's just a kind guy who wants to help the community, and also because his son goes to the same high school as me. So he's like, okay, I'll help out a fellow Ramaz kid, which is funny.
That's so nice.
Yeah, it was really kind of him.
Yeah, but the Upper West Side is really like a character.
Yeah, that's what, I think you're right, because also a lot of movies I grew up watching, like a lot of great rom-coms and New York comedies usually take place in the Upper West Side area. Mm-hmm. So it just has a certain element, like the buildings all have so much effort put into them. Like if you just zoom in on one, you see like engravings and different fixtures. So it just has like a beauty to it.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many Jews live there, and it's like this combination of secular and spiritual. It's just a great place to, have a movie.
Yeah, and this apartment you were in filming, very small from what you were saying at the screening, or was it just tight shooting everything?
It's a big New York City apartment, but
Okay.
a big New York apartment is still really small, especially when you have to fit like 18 crew members, 10 cast members, and all your equipment, because we couldn't move walls or anything. So it was really tight, and all the actors pretty much shared 2 rooms. And these actors are all, they've been on sets where they all get their own room and their own bathroom, but they were just down to make this crazy indie because, they love to make something that's funny and connects with them.
Yeah.
But it was crazy.
Did you have a favorite moment, or just a particularly crazy moment that you can share with us?
A favorite moment? It might have been when...
Without giving anything
Oh yeah, I
too
guess it
major
spoils
away.
it. But I guess
Okay.
something connected to Method Man, who's a member of the Wu-Tang Clan,
Mm-hmm.
which me and my friends have admired for many years. He says something related to Shabbos that seeing that just felt very surreal.
Yeah,
And that he's unbelievable in the movie.
totally is.
Yeah, I knew that he was partially stealing the movie because halfway through the shoot, Kira turned to me and she said, he's stealing the movie. I was like, no, everyone's amazing. And everyone is amazing because at the end we do surveys and everyone's gotten votes for their favorite character. But I knew that Method Man's role was special because I showed it to the Saracheks, who are my family friends, and then 3 generations, so the kids, parents, and grandparents. And their grandmother, I asked her, who's your favorite character, thinking she'd name one of the 9 Jewish characters played by Jewish actors. And she said, oh, the doorman was so charming. I was like, okay, so if she's loving Method Man, like, this is going to go very wide. And it's been pretty unanimous so far.
Yeah, I really feel like they really all are so good. It would be hard for me to choose.
I agree with you.
I really love
Milana.
Milana.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like trying to read my
Milana
notes.
is...
And she, people know her from AT&T commercials.
Yeah, she's
Right?
been in AT&T commercials
Yeah.
as Lily.
Right.
I actually knew her before that because she would do all this improv comedy with College Humor. So
Okay.
like through high school, college, I'd always see her acting with like Jake and Amir and just being so effortlessly funny. And she was also in this movie Werewolves Within. And we knew that, okay, we need a Jewish sister, and it's a hard role to do right because she's the one who's trying to limit the fun of the movie, where everyone's trying to go in this direction where the audience wants to go, and the sister's trying to be moral, like don't do that. And generally audiences don't like that character because they want things to be crazy. But she's just so authentic, and everything she says sounds like it's coming from a real person, and she's so effortlessly funny and makes up lines all the time that she embodied this character and brought so much spirit to it that it's become some people's favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, she has a lot of range in the film because she's dealing with different conflicts that other characters are not.
Yeah,
And
she probably deals with the biggest roller coaster of the
Yeah.
whole movie.
Yeah.
And she also knew the prayer for lighting the candles because she lights the candles at her own home with her family.
That is nice. And you were saying also at the screening that you were able to be the Jewish consultant on the film, because sometimes you see Jewish content movies and they get something wrong,
Yeah.
and you wonder how that happens, pronunciations, what have you.
Right.
So you were there to make sure that everything was spot on.
Yes, thankfully.
Yeah.
All those years of yeshiva finally
Again,
paid off for it.
Mom and Dad.
Yeah, thank
Money
you.
well spent.
Mom and Dad. Yeshiva it's a great investment, and I think it's like the cornerstone of the Jewish community. So
Yeah.
we gotta keep it going. And if any philanthropists are watching, donating to Jewish schools is arguably the thing that keeps the community together the
Nice.
most. I just heard this.
Nice pitch.
It was Dan Sinner. I just listened to his State of Judaism talk, and
Oh,
that's what
okay.
he said. So I'm just repeating it.
Okay. Well done. Well done. I think, though, with all seriousness,
Yeah.
seeing a film like this does have an impact. Like you were talking about My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's very relatable. People quote it all the time. And maybe you feel like you know a little bit more about a community that you did not know before.
Right.
And maybe if you come for Shabbat dinner at someone's house, you have that same feeling. And, not to get too serious at the moment, but when we see things happening in Israel and we see the anti-Israel rhetoric,
Yeah.
the thing we all want to say to them is, have you ever been?
Yeah.
Would you just go and spend time there, because then you can see. And seeing something and experiencing something can be far more powerful, as you said, than getting lectured or reading a book even. And I think the film gives people an opportunity to experience Judaism,
Yeah.
and the love, and yes, the comedy, and there's stuff that's also maybe, I don't think you're trying to sugarcoat everything. You're trying to be real and authentic.
Yeah.
But what comes across is a really very warm and beautiful culture, human at the same time. But so I really applaud you.
It's so nice. I wish you were a reviewer. This would help us so much.
I'm not, sadly. But really, I wish you the best of luck with the film, and check out, is there a website they can go to look at showtimes and things, or you're just
I think
saying?
you just Google Bad Shabbos
Bad
showtimes,
Shabbos.
they'll come up, or
Okay.
menemshafilms.com/Bad Shabbos.
Very good.
Or you could find me on social media, send me a message, and I'll send you whatever you want.
Daniel Robbins, Bad Shabbos, go see the movie. It's
Thank you,
wonderful.
Teisha. This is so
Daniel,
much fun.
thank you so much.
All right, thanks. Thanks, JBS.